Hello everyone and welcome back to the Dork Side. I am the Dork in the Road and today I'm going to talk to you about my recommendations for great beginner dual sport and adventure motorcycle riding gear. That's right everyone, I'm the Dork in the Road and I want to be your internet riding buddy, so please consider subscribing and don't forget to turn on those notifications so that you know when I post awesome new content just like this. Dual sport and adventure riding at their core are all about versatility. You ride a dual sport because you want to be able to go anywhere at any time and be able to follow wherever the road, trail, or washed out creek bed leads you. What makes dual sport and adventure riding awesome is that you can pretty much handle all of those things because you're riding a machine that's designed to handle all of those things. The trade-off being that while it can handle all of those things, it doesn't necessarily do any of those things particularly well or as well as another type of motorcycle might. The same is true of dual sport gear because on a dual sport or adventure bike, you're going to find yourself in all kinds of different situations. You might be riding in a torrential downpour one minute, muddy, slow speed, off-road action the next, and then back on the highway in 90-degree heat on your way home. So like with our bikes, versatility and adaptability are also important in our gear. You need gear that's going to be able to do a lot of things, but you have to accept that it's not going to be the best probably at any of them. I'm going to give you sort of a general conceptual overview of the types of gear that I think are most effective, and then I'll also give you a few concrete examples to get you started. So some places to look, some gear to check out, some links below in the description to all of this. Let's talk about helmets. Dual sport helmets have to do a lot of things. They have to be versatile enough to not only protect you from a long slide down the pavement on the interstate, but also from the slow speed, sharper, and less flat impacts that you're going to run into off-road. You also want a helmet that's comfortable because when we go out and ride, we're often gone for hours or days at a time. And having a peak is nice if you're going to spend any time riding into the sunset or following anybody else closely. It gives you a little bit of versatility in terms of sun shading and protection if you put your head down going through branches, stuff like that. Ask me how I know that's important. So my recommendation, the helmet that I've been wearing for years now, the helmet that I always recommend to people when they're asking me about how to get into dual sport riding, is this is the Bell MX-9. The helmet that I recommend is the Bell MX-9 Adventure MIPS. Make sure that it says Adventure and MIPS, both in the title. The Adventure means you get this drop-down visor, which is very, very nice to have. The MIPS gives you a little bit more crash protection because it has a shifting slide plane inside the helmet that protects against some rotational impacts. And that's incredibly helpful off-road and just a lot safer because those are the kinds of impacts you're most likely to get into. This helmet comes in a ton of really cool colorways. It's not going to come with a battery attached to the top like mine, but I think it's a cool looking helmet. It's very versatile. This peak comes off, this face shield comes off. You can run it with goggles as I'm doing here, or take them out and you can close the shield over your goggles, or you can take the goggles out entirely, throw them in your backpack, ride home. It is comfortable, flows a ton of air at slow speeds, especially with an open running goggles. The one downside is also that airflow. It's loud as hell, but for the price, $230, this is an ECE rated helmet, so you know you're safe on and off road. Cannot recommend it more, and the best part is it's not expensive. This is a $230 helmet, which is cheap as helmets go. You could be spending upwards of $600 or $700 for an Arai or a Shoei or something like that, and those are nice. The XD9, the Hornet, those are great helmets, but to get you started, to know you're going to be safe and have a versatile lid, this is what I would recommend, the Bell MX-9 Adventure MIPS. Great helmet. Most common injuries for motorcycle riders, especially new riders, are to the lower leg because you're going to be dinking around at slow speeds, you lack confidence, and you're going to drop your bike from time to time, either maneuvering over tough terrain or just turning around on a gravel road. It's happened to the best of us. It's happened to me more than once on camera. The most susceptible area to damage on your body in a crash like that is your legs, your lower legs. So I highly recommend a full-length tall boot. To save money, you have to choose between comfort and protection. And off-road, I always recommend protection. So I would recommend a full MX boot, and this is the O'Neill Rider boot. These are $120. So if I was only going to have one pair of boots and I knew I was going to spend time off-road, I would go with these MX boots. They're uncomfortable. You can't hardly flex your ankle, but that's the point. They will protect you from here down in any kind of crash. It's a little bit hard to shift, but it's worth it. So if you're trying to spend the least amount of money and be the most protected, I would think about a motocross boot like this, the O'Neill Rider boot, $120. Now, if you've got a little bit more money to spend and you want a little bit more comfort, but you want to maintain a similar level of protection, these are the Alpine Star Corazols. So this is a sort of a hybrid. This is a little bit more flexible, a little bit more comfortable, easier to walk around in boot, but as you can see, still full length, still that motocross level protection almost, with the hard plastic on the sides and the buckles. but a little bit easier to move around in. These are awesome, but these are $300 boots. There is no better protection than motocross boots. It's why motocross riders wear them. So I would start with that. Even though it's uncomfortable, even though it's hard to shift, even though it will take some adjusting to, protection is the name of the game, and you gotta spend money to be protected. So that's what I'd go with. Pop quiz, what's the first thing that hits the ground when you crash? Most of the time. If you're anything like me or any other human being, you put your hands out when you fall, and so your hands will hit the ground first thing in a crash. Really, really bad on the pavement, equally but different kind of bad when you're hitting gravel, rocks, branches, thorns, crap on the ground when you're riding off-road. So protecting your hands is very important, because you're likely, when you fall, and you will, if you're riding off-road, to land on them first. From here on out, I'm gonna be recommending summer gear to you. It's a lot easier to make a summer glove comfortable in the winter than it is to make a winter glove comfortable in the summer. So summer gear is also a little bit cheaper, so it gets you into a little bit better gear for a little bit less money. In terms of gloves, what I would recommend is something with a solid leather palm. These are the Icon 1000 Brigand gloves. Single piece leather palm. They're very supple, comfortable, easy to wear. I got good feel on the bars, and I know if I go into a slide, my hands are protected. But really, any street glove, any glove that's got a good leather palm, maybe even a slider, is gonna get you by in the woods. Now, if you're looking for something specifically adventure focused, something that's gonna give you all the comfort, dexterity, and airflow off-road, but also really amazing protection on-road, as good as any other street glove. I don't know if they fall into the beginner gear category, but these are the Revit Sand 3 gloves. These are the best all-around off-road gloves I've ever seen. TPU knuckle armor here. Very, very sturdy leather palm. They're supple, they're comfortable. The touchscreen controls work really well. I love these Revit Sand 3 gloves. Something with a lot of palm slide protection, but airflow on the backside, because when you're in the woods, you're gonna be moving around more slowly and need a little bit more ventilation. Something like these Icon 1000s or these Revit Sands are what I would recommend. Another alternative is the Climb to Car gloves, which I don't have a pair of, but they are definitely less street worthy, but for the price, really good off-road gloves that I would consider. All right, let's talk about jackets and pants. Best bang for your buck in terms of dollars for protection, in my experience, is summer riding gear. So ideally what you want to find is a summer jacket, a mesh jacket with a waterproof liner. Then you're basically covered for 3 seasons. Because with the liner in, you can ride in the fall and the spring, and with the liner out, for full airflow, you can ride in the summer. In the winter, you can take a summer jacket, you can wear a hoodie underneath it. With the waterproof liner, it's gonna be reasonably warm, it's gonna get you through on a colder day. But it's really hard to take a winter jacket and give it enough airflow to make it comfortable in the summer. So I would start with summer gear, cheaper and more versatile. As an example, this is my Scorpion Yuma jacket. Unfortunately, this particular jacket is discontinued, so you can't find it anymore. I'll put a link in the description. There are a few out there, and if you can find it, it's a great value because I think they're on sale for $120, $150 right now. This is great abrasion resistance in the shoulders, and all this black is mesh, so when the waterproof liner comes out, and it's removable quickly, take the liner out, you got lots of airflow, you're totally protected in the summer. Put the liner in, no water gets in, you're great. If it's wet, I've used it in the rain, they're really good. And then on a really cold day, I could take this jacket and put a hoodie underneath it or just a base layer of some kind to stay more warm. These have full armor, so there's a shoulder protector, there's an elbow protector, and then I've added a back protector. Most jackets don't come with a back protector, but you can add it. And ideally, something that has a matching jacket and pants, that's the dream. That's the best case scenario because they'll zip together so you don't have to worry about your pants coming down, both for comfort and also in a slide. So if you can't find the Yuma, the Sedici Marco is a set top and bottom of mesh adventure style gear with a waterproof liner, both jacket and pants. You can find that at Cycle Gear, there's a link below. Or there's a jacket called the Cortec Aeroflow is a good example of what I mean. And it's only $130, you can get it at Revzilla. It has a waterproof liner as well. That's your basic beginner. You're trying to get in on the ground floor. What's the cheapest I can get good protective gear? If you want to spend a little more and get gear that's gonna last you a really long time, this is my Alpine Stars Andes V2 jacket. Fully waterproof with the Dry Star liner. It also was a quilted liner. I've worn this in the snow, dead of winter, but unlike some of the other lower end non-mesh gear, this has a bunch of vents that vent directly to the body, so ventilation is good. So this jacket is usable if you take the liner out in all but the hottest summer days. So very versatile. There's a pair of matching pants, which I actually just ordered. I have a bunch of friends who have this set in particular, and they swear by it. So it's a little bit more. This jacket is $260 and the pants are $230, but I ended up with this jacket after I bought several cheaper alternatives and eventually upgraded from them. So summer gear will get you in on the ground floor, but if you want to skip a step and get something that's gonna last you longer and be higher quality, I would recommend particularly this Alpine Stars Andes V2 jacket. Sizing's kind of funky, so make sure you look into that. It seems pricey, but even the good Cycle Gear brand adventure stuff is as much or more as this. This is cheap. When you're talking about Alpine Stars, you're talking about a good brand. So I cannot recommend the Andes gear highly enough. Alternative to look into if you don't want to go full mesh, but you do want to get a reasonably priced set of adventure gear, the Climb to Car jacket and pants are not too unreasonably priced. Jacket's $250, the pants are $210, but you gotta remember those don't come with any armor at all, so you're gonna have to buy your own armor. It has sleeves for it, but it doesn't come with it. But that's good gear with great venting. If you're never gonna ride in the winter, but you want something higher end that's really nice, then that Climb to Car is definitely worth looking into. Let me sum it up for you. Ventilation is good. As long as you're not sacrificing protection. You can always make warm weather gear better in cold weather, but it's really hard to make cold weather gear better in warm weather, and warm weather gear is less expensive, so it's a good way to go. So I would recommend ventilation for slow speeds, protection for highway speeds. Don't go crazy spending a whole bunch of money, but you definitely want to be protected. That's the most important thing. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you. If you enjoyed the video, if you got some useful information out of it, if you think somebody else might get some useful information out of it, please consider hitting that like button. That tells YouTube to share it with the world at large and spread the gospel of Dork to the world, the wider world out there of motorcycling. But for now, and as always, I just want to say thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you, and please do not forget to be excellent to each other. Thank you.
Excellent!